today, lest any of you be hardened. Holy Spirit, melt the hardness, hardened through the deceitfulness of sin. Understanding that the mark of God is not a brand. It's not a chip. It's not some kind of physical thing. Also understanding that the other side of that is exactly the same truth. In Revelation, the 13th chapter. Please don't say, oh, do you mean that you don't think there is a physical Antichrist? Yes, there is. But that's not what God's talking about. In Revelation, the 13th chapter, th verse. And he causes all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand, no man, or in their foreheads, and no man might buy or sell, say he that has the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name. Here is the wisdom. Let him that hath understanding count the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man, and his number is 666. Here, he said, is understanding. The mark is the number of a man. Not of Satan, not of demons. It's the mark of man. It's the mark of self. Yes, there will be a brand. Yes, there will be a true natural coming forth of this. But the fact is, he's only going to brand those which are already his own. Because they're marked by the same procedure that takes place in the spiritual truth. Do you see what I'm saying to you? It's the mark of man. It's the mark of self. This is Antichrist. Not some evil, shrouded figure. It's self is the mark of Antichrist. In John, the 12th chapter, I'm getting close to being done. Stay with me just for a few minutes longer. John, the 12th chapter. In John, the 12th chapter and the 22nd verse, Philip cometh and telleth Andrew and Philip tell Jesus, and Jesus answered them, saying, the hour is come, that the Son of Man should be glorified. Verily I say unto you, except a corn of wheat fall into the ground and die, it abideth alone. But if it die, it bringeth forth much fruit. He that loveth his life shall lose it, and he that hateth his life for the world shall keep it unto life eternal. If any man serve me, let him follow me. And where I am, there shall also my servant be. If any man serve me, him will my Father honor. This is the question. This is the question that stands before us this morning. Now, what God is saying is, I am going to stand the priesthood before the Urim and the Thummim. Now, the Urim and the Thummim was that which brought to light the purity of the genealogy. You and I both know, in Ephesians, the 5th chapter and the 13th verse, it says that which is brings to manifest is light. That which makes manifest is light. So what God's saying is, I'm shining a light. I'm shining a light. Now, when He shines that light, His purpose is that the shadows of self will come. They will come because they're in us. He said it doesn't make any difference, me, you, who it is. When God shines a light, you'll see the shadow because you have sin in you. He's not doing it to condemn you, to judge you. He's doing it to show you what should not be there. So He shines a light and makes manifest, exposing that shadow of self. Now, look with me at John. And if please stay with me just a few minutes longer. In John, the 3rd chapter, 19th verse. And this is the condemnation. that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither come to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in God. That they are wrought in God. Now, when it speaks of evil, it's not speaking of this evil force. And it's not even speaking of a nature that's given itself to that evil force. It's speaking of the influence of that force. It's saying he that's influenced by this, the life that's influenced by itself, does not come to the light. Here's what God does. By the light, He comes and conviction rises up in your heart. 2 Corinthians, 4th chapter. 2 Corinthians, the 4th chapter, and the 6th verse. For God commanded the light to shine out of darkness, has shined into our heart, to give the light of the knowledge of the glory of God in the face of Jesus Christ. Now, the first thing that happens is that light shines into our heart, and it brings conviction. At that moment, it is crystal clear what God is saying. Conviction comes, it's very clear, but the second moment, a choice comes and you're standing in that garden. The second moment, choice comes. And this is, you'll do one of two things, though they are done in a great amount of varieties. One of two things. We will remove what God has shown us is shadow, or we will in some way, at that moment in time, fortify that position. That's the only way that we can live and survive. We will remove it or we will fortify it. Now, when we fortify it, what we do is we seek some way to confuse the issue that at that moment in time was crystal clear. When God shined the light, I knew, it struck me like a hammer between my eyes. But the next moment, I fortified position and I'm not sure. I don't know. And so here's what we do. God help Gordon. Go to 1 Corinthians 2. Going with me to the 14th. The natural man receiveth not the things of the Spirit of God, for they are foolishness unto him. Neither can he know them, because they are spiritually discerned. But he that is spiritual judgeth all things, yet he himself is judged of no man. For who hath known the mind of the Lord, that he may instruct him? But we have the mind of Christ. Now this is talking about in you and me. Both of these are in us. So here's what we do. God says something and we resist it, and we have to fortify our position to confuse what was crystal clear. So that means that we've got to go to somebody for counsel that will help us fortify the position. So we go and we make the natural man the judge. We go and we ask the natural man, what do you think? And then the issue is completely confused, and what God made crystal clear, we don't know whether we should or shouldn't. And it's all because this light is primary. The natural man doesn't receive. Well,